rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilmember Irby. Here. Councilmember Page.
Here.
Councilmember Fitch.
Here.
Councilmember Gray. Present. Councilmember Clancy.
Here.
Councilmember Tracus.
Present.
Councilmember Harder.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Before we start, I would like to recognize Security Officer Curtis Ratliff. Curtis is at his last council meeting tonight. He served St. Louis County for 26.5 years. So thank you for your service.
I move for approval of the journal of the special meeting of March 28th, 2019, and the meeting of April 2nd, 2019.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The journal is approved.
I move to suspend the rules in order for the purpose of adopting and presenting a resolution recognizing Delta Sigma Theta sorority on the occasion of its members' annual visit to the St. Louis County Council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Please read resolution number 1.
Yes, sir. Resolution number 1, introduced by Council Members Irby, Page, Fitch, Walton Gray, Clancy, Tracus, and Harder. Resolution, whereas Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated was founded on January 13, 1913 by 22 collegiate women on the campus of Howard University. And whereas the first public act performed by the Delta founders involved their participation in the historic Women's Suffrage March in Washington, D.C. in March 1913. And whereas originally chartered as Lambda Sigma, the St. Louis Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated has been committed to public service in St. Louis over 90 years. And whereas the late Frankie M. Freeman, 14th National President and Civil Rights Icon, was a member of the St. Louis Alumni Chapter. And whereas every Delta uses her influence for the enactment of laws to protect the unfortunate and the repeal of those laws which deprive human beings of their privileges and rights. And whereas Delta is increasingly involved in important issues at the local, state, federal, and global levels, it has received special consultative status with the United Nations. And whereas Deltas from across the nation travel to Washington, D.C. every year to participate in Delta Days in the nation's capital, and Deltas throughout the county of St. Louis gather in St. Louis County to participate in Delta Day at St. Louis County Council and to learn about the importance of creating economic opportunity for all residents of the county. Now therefore be it resolved by the County Council of St. Louis County, Missouri as follows. Section 1. The County Council welcomes the Deltas of the St. Louis Alumni Chapter today, Tuesday, April 9th, 2019, for the annual Delta Day at St. Louis County Council.
Oh, I'm sorry. I move for adoption of resolution number 1.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Irby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Fitch?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Clancy?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on resolution number 1, there are 7 ayes.
Resolution number 1 is adopted. Could we have some of the Deltas come forward here so we can take a picture with some of the council members, whoever would like to come down?
Well, my fellow council member.
Oh, yeah. Anybody that can come up here and take this picture? Come on.
I think I'll duck behind here.
I've probably done
laundry last month, so I just haven't read, and I realized I did do gray laundry the other day, stuff I did in the laundry room, because I did all of our cardinal stuff and things, training and all that.
You gotta do that laundry by itself, don't you?
Yeah, and I had a cute
Text Mike, he got
red tablet keyboard and a red sweater that I bought.
just went down.
I just had the other class this morning.
He had some kind of
How weird
function,
is that?
so he couldn't make it. So Curtis is up there.
Michelle, I just want to meet you.
Any chocolate in front of all of us? Of course. You want some? No, not gum.
Okay, we have no bid openings this evening, so we'll move to communications.
Mr. Chair, we have no tax compromises this evening, so we'll move to zoning matters. Under zoning matters, item number 1, First District.
Receive and file.
So ordered.
Item number 2, Sixth District.
Receive and file.
So ordered.
Item number 3, Sixth District.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Moving on to road and bridge matters, Mr. Chair, item number 1, Sixth District.
Receive, file, and the streets be accepted for maintenance as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 2, Seventh District.
Receive, file, and the street be accepted for maintenance as requested. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Moving on to other communications, Mr. Chair, item number 1.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. And that will be the order.
Item number 2.
Items, receive and file, same motion for item number 3, and that will be the order.
Item number 4, Third District.
Please hold on the order of business.
So ordered.
Item number 5, Third District.
Please hold on the order of business.
So ordered.
Item number 6, Fifth District.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Item number 7, all districts.
Receive and file, and that will be the order.
Item number 8, First District.
Please hold.
So ordered.
Item number 9, First District.
Oh, I'm sorry. Receive and file.
So ordered.
Item number 10.
Receive, file, and transfer be approved as requested.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 11.
Receive, file, and the transfer be approved as requested. Same motion to item number 15.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 16, First District.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Item number 17, Sixth District.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Item number 18.
Same motion, and that will be the order.
Item number 19.
Same motion, and that will be the order.
No add-ons this evening, Mr. Chair.
Report of the county executive.
Nothing further this evening.
Report of special committees.
Please hold on the order of business.
So ordered. Public forum.
We have 11 speakers this evening, Mr. Chair.
Okay. This evening we have 11 speakers. Please Come to the podium when your name is called. Adjust the microphone so we can capture your remarks, and give your name and address for the record. And please try and keep your comments to 3 minutes. First speaker.
First speaker this evening is Erica Brooks.
Good afternoon, Council. I want to thank you for this opportunity. I had spoken with Executive Director Stinger about the Metro Reimagine's plan to cut my route as far as bus routes. And this is not just going to affect, I'm sure you all know about this situation, it's not going to just affect my route, but various routes throughout the city and the county. And the problem that I have right now, I walk 2 blocks to my bus stop right now. When this plan occurs, they're saying they want to do it in the fall, I'm going to walk a mile to my nearest bus stop from Mueller to South Florissant, or from Mueller to Airport Road, which is more than a mile, or go through Kinlock. And at this point right now, it's dark, derelict, it's weeds out there, and it's not appropriate for anybody to have to walk through. When it comes to the Metro Reimagine's plan, as far as what their slogan is, it says shorter waits, faster trips, better connections. And as I just described to you, that's not going to be a faster trip for me to have to walk, first of all, to get there. Second of all, when it comes to how it's going to economically affect me, they're saying that, like I said, they're cutting bus routes that are in neighborhood communities out and making us walk out further. And so hopefully when I get there, through that mile of getting there, my bus is there waiting for me. Not only that, when I go out so far in the county, their plan is to cut it off to, buses are going out so far right now. They're going to cut those routes to where we're going to have to connect with something that's called on-demand service. So that means because I went to Bi-State and talked to the planners of the situation, and I asked them how did they look out for the consumers when it came to paying for this on a daily basis, of going to our jobs, going to doctor's appointments, or disabled people, or anybody, various families, because I have a son. And so when it comes to economically being able to go to work, we're talking about paying for a Metro and their on-demand service to work and back every day. This is not only for out in the county, it's also for the city. They're talking about cutting out number 99 bus route. So in order to accommodate the on-demand service, when I talked to the planners, and I asked them, I said, well, have you talked to these people as far as the on-demand service about recognizing your transfers once we get off your bus? Have you talked to them about how you're going to help us economically? No, we haven't talked to them about that. So they're saying that basically we're going to be paying you, we're going to pay you along with them. So my point in coming here tonight is to say, I know this has been going on for more than 2 years. And you all know, y'all talking about better together as far as the city and the county. That's not going to help me at all. On that perspective, when it comes to my traveling every day and my city, because when I called Metro Reimagine, they said that some of the city leaders did not inform their community about that. And so I've been riding the bus since July, mind that. So when it comes to that saying, well, it's low ridership, no, it's not.
That's 3 minutes.
I've been riding the bus, and I've taken a picture today so y'all can see. So after this thing, you can understand that low ridership is not the situation. It's a high crime level that's on your Metro link, that's on your bus, that's on your platform. So people don't want to ride. That's when low ridership come in. But like I said, I want to be able to get to my job, and I want y'all to consider, because I asked for an appointment with you, and I never heard anything from Ms. Bynum.
Yeah, Ethel Bynum from my office is handling,
I
or at
understand.
least looking into what your request was.
I understand, but I know Metro is about to do some things right now, and I've also started a petition to be able to, because they said they haven't heard from Ferguson, and like I said, as a result of the city leaders not saying anything to us as a community, nobody showed up for my community to speak. So I'm in the process of starting a petition for our community to be able to speak. So I would appreciate it as county leaders to look into these things as far as cutting off routes to where people have to do on-demand service. Look into this thing as far as me being able to cut my route, which is service 12 bus stops along that route. So I've talked to families. Some of them do not have access to public bus transportation from schools because they don't fit the mile, more than a mile from the school. So they get serviced by the public transportation. So please reconsider what's going on.
Thank you.
Erica, I'll work with you on that.
Thank you.
You know how to get me, so.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you so
All
much.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next speaker is Tashonda Troop.
Good evening, council. My name is Tashonda Troop, and I live in Pine Line. As all of you know, I am the mother of the late Lamar Catchings. As I stand before you today, I still have no answers. The person that was appointed to be the director over the Justice Center chose to lawyer up instead of talking to a grieving mother who is just trying to get answers to why her healthy 20-year-old son has died. Her attitude and demeanor say a lot about her as a person, but that's not why I'm here. Since I won't get any answers from Ms. Childry, my next questions are for her boss, Mr. Stenger. What are you doing about the deaths in your jail? What's your investigation look like? What is your reaction to these 3 deaths within weeks of each other? When were you notified of the deaths? When you found out about the deaths, what questions did you have for your director? What do you plan to do now? What are your plans for hiring a compassionate director with empathy that can treat people with humanity? What are you doing to change the things in St. Louis County Justice Center? What are you doing about the abuse in the jail? I understand from news reports that there was an inmate that was abused by a correctional officer that was reported upon John Shy's death. What did your investigation conclude? What happened to the officer? Was the information shared with the council? These are the things I feel like the public should know. These are the things that are kept secret, which makes the public feel there is no transparency. Inmates are still human. I'm not asking for them to be treated like royalty, just like humans. A little humanity will go a long way. I did give you all copies of the questions that I did have for Ms. Childress. Those who email addresses I could find online, I did send you a copy through email, but this is just a hard copy of the same questions. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next speaker is Kelly Lewis.
Kelly Lewis, I am the mother of John Shy, who is deceased. He died in the Justice Center on February 23rd. He was a part of my daily life, and now those days are empty. I have no answers to what happened, of anything. I have no answers at all. He was more than an inmate. You know, he was a son, a friend, a boyfriend. I just feel like his life had no value. It's the way I'm feeling right now, by the way that this is being handled. We deserve some answers.
Next speaker is Christy Halley. Then Natasha Troop.
Hello, councilmen and women. I see that every time I come in here, the first thing y'all start off with is an allegiance to the flag. And you say justice for all. But it's been 39 days, 3,369,600 seconds, 936 hours, 56,160 minutes that y'all have had to investigate this case and other cases before then. No, Ms. Childry, Mr. Stenger, to you I ask, do you feel that you as a manager is an effective manager? Do you feel that you got people on your team that can actually do a job and know their job description? What is your qualifications for hiring people to be a director, to oversee other people? So, Mr. Stenger, and also I see the question is the money. Where is the money? Because the inmates is not getting any medical care. They're getting help from people that are not doctors. My nephew was in a wheelchair, but nobody ordered him there. So tell me, what doctor do you have on your team? Not somebody you can call. I want to know what doctor's at the jail. Because if I'm not mistaken, the federal government says that y'all got to hold these inmates at a certain standard. And one of the standards is medical care. So what are we going to do to go forward today, Mr. Stinger? Because Miss Childry is a representation of you. She's a reflection of you. And right now your reflection looks real bad. So tell me, what is your next steps? I want answers standing up here because I still got 1 minute. See, that's the difference. I want to use all 3 of my minutes. What are you going to do? I'm not going to walk away just with you telling me, thank you, have a good day. Because, see, somewhere needs to be a plan. I lost my nephew. Now, he may be one of many to you. He's 1 in a million to me. So I need to know. I need to know, why did the state decide that they will lawyer up if they have nothing to hide? See, the only thing I keep saying is hidden. Hidden. We can't talk. We can't do this, and we don't know. So tell me, what do you know? Because somewhere in your job, y'all don't know nothing.
And ma'am, I can tell you that the matter is under investigation.
That's all I hear.
Well, I understand that, and that's largely because it truly is under investigation, and it's under investigation by multiple
When will you
parties.
call the federal government in to investigate? Because I believe that's what needs to be done.
Well, right now, local authorities are investigating this matter, and there's been quite a bit of work that's been done. The matter is currently under investigation, and we await the results of those investigations. And it is a matter that we take very seriously, and we are very sorry for your loss, truly sorry for your loss. But this matter is under investigation right now, and there's only so much that can be said while the matter is under investigation. We really have to respect the investigation because we'd like the truth to come out about what happened.
And I understand all of that. Okay, we're respecting the investigation. What are you going to do now to put procedures in place so we don't have to be here again? What are you going to do?
Part about, a great deal of the investigation will revolve around what the policies and procedures were, whether they were followed, and then we'll be able to see what happened, and perhaps, I can't say this for certain, but it could result in changes to procedures. We don't know until we see the investigation.
Next speaker is Azora Liggins. Azora Liggins. Ed Goldterman.
Honorable members of the council, honorable executive, Stenger, let's first, from the first blues vocalist ever to the one that is just now retiring after 19 wonderful years, let's just give a round of applause to Charles Glenn. No, I'm not going back. I've given you 3 specific items by which you can save $100 million a year for the people of St. Louis County. They're what I call line items, so I suggest you look at those very, very seriously, consider their merit, and if you have any questions or comments, I think these could be done fairly quickly. We don't really know exactly how long you will be a constituted government. There's some question about that. So while you're continuing to deliberate and to rule and to appropriate, do it for the citizens of St. Louis County. This is a variety week. It's a week for the children. They're going to raise a lot of money this week, and on Saturday night they will raise $1 million in the magnificent Kiel Opera House. And they'll raise that because there's nothing like it in the country. And one of the smartest things our convention and travel people could ever do would be to re-energize Kiel Opera House for shows and concerts and do the travel packages, and then to also maximize the Muni. No city has ever had that combination, nor will they ever, and neither would either or the combination hurt any other entity. In fact, those are the primary and the most consistent deliverers of people to cities. So if you have someone on that group and, kind of ask them to look at those, and also perhaps the American Theater downtown could be put to some good use, daytime or something, to help that part of downtown. And finally, to make us vulnerable for a full year to the pressure of Better Together I just say shame. I say shame, and I say shame. Thank you.
Next speaker is Mayor Tom Schneider.
Good evening, Mr. Executive, members of the County Council. Florissant City Hall address is 955 Rue St. Francis. My name is Tom Schneider. I will continue to be the mayor of Florissant until April 22nd, when we will swear in our current Chief of Police, Tim Lowry, who was elected last week. I'll soon retire after 51 years of combined service to our nation and the city of Florissant. I served 2 tours in Vietnam and 1 in Gitmo with the Seabees, and later received a commission to the Naval Civil Engineer Corps. Mayor Egan hired me in 1976 as city engineer. I also had assignments as acting street superintendent and acting public works director. Those experiences as an employee gave me valuable insight to set priorities during my 32 years on the city council, and especially during my last 8 years as a full-time mayor of the city of Florissant. The reasoning I'm bringing this up is because to suggest that St. Louis County would be better served if former county employees who have since retired were not financially prohibited from using their valuable administrative experience as legislators to serve the county council. The current policy has been given attention as a result of the election of Councilman Tim Fitch, who, as we all know, served honorably and effectively as the chief of the county police, and after retiring from that position was chosen by his constituents by convincing margin to represent them on your council. By making experienced retired county employees ineligible to receive a well-earned pension because they would receive a token council remuneration, essentially financially bars them from serving unless we expect them to forfeit hundreds of thousands of dollars. This would apply to a former public works director, a street superintendent, a former finance director, or any administrator or employee who know firsthand every day what it takes to serve county residents and could put that knowledge to good use on the county council. My own personal experience is that Florissant benefited from my city engineer employee knowledge for the past 40 years, and we will also benefit greatly by having our chief of police become the mayor of our city for the second time in this century. When policies are short-sighted and counterproductive for the public benefit, they deserve amending. I'm finished with that point. I'd also like to ask you, as fellow members of the Municipal League of Metro St. Louis, to please consider an official endorsement of the league effort to form a board of freeholders to deliberate our fate in the public forum, which has been a tradition in this country, rather than by a non-elected, non-appointed, arbitrarily selected committee. This is St. Louis, not Beijing. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom.
Next speaker is Brandon Casterison.
Good evening. I'm Brandon Costerison with National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse, St. Louis, 9355 Olive Boulevard. I'm here to speak in favor of Bill 270. The most recent version that we have seen promotes an evidence-based public health intervention. It allows schools the authority and ability to implement their policies, make sure that they do have that right under municipal ordinances, but most importantly, it goes after those who sell nicotine products to young people. Those vendors, and it increases penalties and makes it so that there's real consequences if someone does get caught selling a highly addictive substance to someone under the age of 21. We feel that this is a strong public health policy, and the NCADA supports the most recent version of the bill that has been proposed. Thank you.
Question.
Thanks. Yep.
So what is now the information regarding the teens? Is that
so? The most recent version that we have seen allows for schools to confiscate the vaping products or the nicotine products, but there is no municipal fine. There is no county mandated penalty. The schools can implement the penalty, but the county ordinance does not do so. It just explicitly says that they can.
Okay, that was my concern.
Yes, ma'am. Ours as well.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for your help on this, too.
Thank you for listening.
Next speaker is Tom Sullivan.
Mr. Chairman, I still believe it is almost criminal to send $240 million to downtown St. Louis for a convention center expansion when so many needs are going unmet in St. Louis County. When voters approved the hotel motel tax in 1990, it was all about the dome, nothing about any convention center expansion. State law makes it clear that when the obligation for the dome is met, the funds can go for general revenue purposes. Kitty Ratcliffe was on the radio today. Actually, I should say, millionaire Kitty Ratcliffe was on the radio today, saying that isn't true, but I learned a long time ago she can't be believed on anything. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks or wants to believe, it's what the law says. $180 million of county tax dollars has been given to the dome. It's time to spend money in St. Louis County. The list of needs is a long one. Several things to note about the convention center expansion. More money would be spent paying interest and other charges than what the construction cost for the expanded center would be. $480 million for a $175 million project. That's pretty excessive. There has yet to be any evidence presented that the dome has benefited this area, the city or the county, despite the extravagant promises that were made. There is no reason to believe an expanded convention center will benefit this area either. Have you considered the absurdity of the argument being made by the CBC, which is that they are losing business now, but the answer is a bigger convention center? If they can't handle conventions of the size they are equipped for, then how can they handle bigger ones? St. Patrick's Day was last month, and every bar in town no doubt wished they had a bigger space. Next month on Mother's Day, every restaurant in town will wish they had more space. But they don't expand if they only need extra space on limited days of the year. It would lead to financial ruin. The question is whether this would happen with an expanded convention center. The members of this council have no idea. An outside assessment was definitely needed. If it's such a great deal, let the hotel industry pay for the convention center expansion. After all, taxpayers gave them $720 million for the dome. They didn't pay a dime. It's time for them to cough up. For all practical purposes, the $480 million would be corporate welfare. Where's the public purpose? There isn't any. A great deal has been made these days about the various matters the county executive has been involved in and how much they cost. What isn't mentioned as much is that many were approved by the council. With the disastrous Northwest leases, Mr. Page, you were an enthusiastic supporter. You were quoted in the Post-Dispatch as saying the county was, quote, getting better space for a great value. Councilwoman Irby was even more enthusiastic. She said that after touring the new office space, she, quote, fell in love with it. If there was a lesson to be learned from the Northwest matter, it's that you need to be more diligent in scrutinizing matters that come before you. No matter how much the county executive has cost county taxpayers, it pales in comparison to what you would cost them by supporting the downtown project that will do nothing for the citizens of St. Louis County. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Tom.
Final speaker this evening is Kitty Ratcliffe.
Good evening, Council Chairman, members of the Council, County Executive, Kitty Ratcliffe, Explore St. Louis, 701 Convention Plaza, St. Louis 63101. I just wanted to say thank you for your time, especially bill sponsor Councilwoman Irby today, for your time as we try to make sure that this bill appropriately addresses everything that we need to do for this community from a convention and tourism perspective. I know you'll take up tonight a substitute measure which incorporates a couple of the things that we talked about at last week's meeting, plus a new measure that came up this afternoon. We do support that, and we look forward to moving forward with you together. I'll be here this evening as long as you'd like, in case anybody has any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No more speakers, Mr. Chairman.
This concludes the public forum. Please proceed with introduction of bills.
Bill number 86, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to accept a grant of up to $100,000 from the St. Louis Jefferson Solid Waste Management District, appropriating same for support of a regional household hazardous waste collection program, and authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents. Bill number 87, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to accept a grant of up to $43,428 from the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, appropriating the same for support of the Hepatitis A outbreak project, and authorizing execution of necessary documents. Bill number 88, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to accept a grant of up to $8,700 from the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, appropriating the same for support of the tick surveillance project, and authorizing execution of necessary documents. Bill number 89, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to accept a grant of up to $70,000 from the Office of National Drug Control Policy, appropriating the same for support of a detective assigned to the Multi-Jurisdictional Drug Task Force, and authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents. Bill number 90, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance appropriating and setting apart the sum of $195,000 from the unappropriated balance of the General Revenue Fund for expenses related to Board of Equalization hearing officers. Bill number 91, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance appropriating and setting apart the sum of $15,000 from the unappropriated balance of the General Revenue Fund for expenses related to the Property Owner Advocate Program. Bill number 92, introduced by Councilmember Harder, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a contract with the United States Department of Homeland Security for reimbursement of the cost of equipment obtained in connection with interior modifications of a county-owned building at Spirit of St. Louis Airport. Bill number 93, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance providing for a boundary adjustment between the city of Creve Coeur and St. Louis County and authorizing certain actions to be taken with regard to such adjustment. Bill number 94, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance amending ordinance number 27,297 by repealing and reenacting Section 2 pertaining to 10 contracts for external review proposals made to the Children's Service Fund related to the core funding cycle for 2020 through 2022. Bill number 95, introduced by Councilmember Harder, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a contract with IMEG Corp. For design of a utility dirt shed at Transportation District Number 3. Bill number 96, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance amending ordinance number 27,086 by repealing and reenacting Section 1 pertaining to a grant from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for the Continuum of Care program. Bill number 97, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance appropriating and setting apart the sum of $64,267 from the unappropriated balance of the General Revenue Fund for support of a full-time ADA coordinator. Bill number 98, introduced by Councilmembers Page and Tracus, amending Title 12 St. Louis County Revised Ordinances 1974 as amended traffic code by deleting therefrom 8 provisions from Schedule 9 and by enacting and adding thereto 9 new provisions to Schedule 6 and 17 new provisions to Schedule 9. Mr. Chair, that is all the bills.
Perfection.
Bill number 270, introduced by Councilmember Wassinger for Councilmember Tracus.
Please hold on the order of business.
So ordered.
Bill number 17, introduced by Councilmember Fitch.
Please hold on the order of business.
So ordered.
Bill number 20, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
Please hold Bill number 20.
So ordered.
Bill number 21, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
Please hold Bill 21.
So ordered.
Bill number 35, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to hold bill number 35. And that will be the order.
Bill number 76, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Please hold on the order of business.
So ordered.
Bill number 79, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Please hold on the order of business.
So ordered.
Bill number 80, introduced by Councilmember Erby.
I move for perfection of bill number 80.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 80 is perfected.
Bill number 81, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect bill number 81.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 81 is perfected.
Bill number 82, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Please hold on the order of business.
So ordered.
Bill number 83, introduced by Councilmembers Tracus and Harder. Mr. Chair, we have a substitute bill.
Please read the substitute.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 83, introduced by Councilmembers Tracus and Harder, an ordinance amending Chapter 302, Title 3, St. Louis County Revised Ordinances 1974's amended budget by repealing and reenacting Section 304.400 relating to the funds distributed to St. Louis County pursuant to Proposition P, a countywide half-cent sales tax related to police and public safety adopted by the voters of St. Louis County on April 4th, 2017.
Want to perfect substitute 1 for bill number 83.
Mr. Chair, the bill must be adopted.
So if you want
I'm sorry.
to adopt the substitute, that would be the proper motion.
I'd like to adopt substitute 1 for bill 83.
A second.
So everyone had a chance to review the
I was
substitute.
going to ask. I'm not really, I have need more information on what are you trying to get at, or your purpose for the, or we could talk about it later, I don't know if it's,
And we want to have a hearing on this, we just want to get it to perfection.
well then, okay.
No. I know this came down this afternoon. I don't know if everyone's seen the substitute language. I think it does what you want to do, and I think it does what the council wants to do, but I'm not sure everyone's had a chance to look at it.
I'm fine holding.
We can hold it till next week then.
It's fine.
But there's several bills here that are interrelated.
Correct.
And I know we're close to resolution, and we should be able to move a lot of that to perfection next week.
Okay, let's hold, well, do we have to adopt it, then hold it?
Well, question, why perfect this prior to there being a hearing? It seems like something that there needs to be a pretty robust discussion around, so I'm a little hesitant to proceed until we've had a hearing.
I don't think we're gonna perfect it, we're just gonna adopt. I thought we were just gonna adopt.
Okay. But I heard something about trying to perfect it next week, and I don't know anything about a hearing next week.
Well, so I'll recognize your motion to hold, and that will be the order. And we'll have more conversations about how to move forward next week, but I think we're pretty close on a subject that's been complicated for us for a couple of years now.
But don't we want to adopt the sub and then hold it?
I don't think we have support to adopt the sub tonight,
Okay, then we'll hold it.
but I think there will be once we've had a chance to review it. I think you've got some good language. I know you've all been working hard on it.
The only other comment I would add is that we currently, through the current ordinance related to Proposition P, there needs to be a quarterly report of the status of the Proposition P funds. And we're finished with the first quarter, and I don't think we've received that report yet. So I'm eager to see that.
Okay. We'll talk to the budget director about that. He's historically been timely with those. We'll get a message through to him.
Sam.
Yes.
Also, I agree with Councilwoman Clancy. We talked about discussing, that's where I thought we were before, discussing the language and what actually is public safety. So we're doing the ordinance first, and then I thought we were gonna have a.
So the substitute, I'm sorry to interrupt, the substitute language that is in this bill actually goes into a definition of proposition and public safety, I mean. And it just came down this afternoon, and I know that a lot of people haven't had time to study that. But it does get to the definition of public safety, which has been a struggle for us for a couple of years. And I'm glad to see us working in the right direction on that.
We'll go ahead and hold it then.
Okay, so it will be held.
Bill number 84, introduced by Councilmember Fitch.
I believe we'll have a sub for next week, so please hold.
Bill number 84 will be held, and thank you, Councilman Fitch, for working through the complexities of those supplemental appropriations questions. We hope to close the resolution with that as well.
Bill number 85, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Move to perfect Bill number 85.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 85 is perfected. Final passage.
Bill number 70, introduced by Councilmember Page.
I'll move to hold Bill number 70, and 70 will be held, and we'll continue that discussion.
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, the final motion on Bill 83 was to hold Bill 83, not the sub-bill, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. Option.
I know what it is.
Next bill.
Bill number 73, introduced by Councilmember Page for Councilmember Erby. Mr. Chair, we have a substitute bill.
Please read.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 73, introduced by Councilmember Erby. An ordinance authorizing the county to execute cooperation agreements, financing agreements, lease agreements, and other necessary documents related to the financing of the construction, repair, improvement, expansion, renovation, furnishing, and/or equipping of America Center in the city of St. Louis, Missouri upon the terms and conditions described herein.
I move for adoption of substitute bill number 1 for bill number 73.
Second.
Before we vote on this, Peter, could you tell us the changes, this substitute bill? Do you have it in front of you? Maybe
do.
Jen can.
The change that of which I'm aware was there was a change to section 7 that would withhold 35% of funds in excess of the obligations.
Okay.
There were
And there were two other changes that came with part of a previous sub that have been incorporated in this sub.
Oh, the previous one also included an opportunity for the council to consider and approve the cooperation agreements relative to the exercise of the use of the funds.
And then section 6 on page 5.
Was the minority business and women business requirements that the council spoke of last week.
So this funding will be in compliance with the minority participation legislation that we passed.
That's right, it's the counties.
Okay. Any other comments? Yes.
Mr. Chair, this is grossly premature to even move on this bill. The underlying agreements, the first one of which doesn't expire until 2021. There is no rush here. This body has earned itself a great reputation of taking deep dives into the budget and other fundamental issues facing this county. To simply gloss over a $250 million commitment is reckless, and I cannot support it. I will not support it. There are many needs that this county has that have to be met going forward. The money that's going to be taken for this bill is sorely needed in other places. I respectfully disagree with the legal position taken by the convention center. And even if that were in fact the case, I think there's a sound argument that the money could still be used in the county where it's needed. So I think the prudent thing to do, since there is no pressing need to pass this legislation anytime in 2019, is to have hearings on this bill, find out where the money, since the original passage, has been spent, how it's been spent. I know one thing for certain, $3.2 million a year go to salaries for the convention center personnel. So it's completely inappropriate to push this bill forward now without any serious consideration of it. So with that, do as you will.
So there's a motion before us for adoption of the substitute bill, and it's been seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor of adoption of substitute bill number 1 for bill number 73, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Substitute bill number 1 for bill number 73 is adopted. This is on final passage, so it will hold its place until set on the calendar for 7 days. Next item.
Bill number 77, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of bill number 77.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby? Aye. Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Fitch?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Clancy?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 77, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 77 is finally passed.
Bill number 78, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
I'd like to hold bill number 78 pending a sub-bill possibly next week on some more details.
Okay, bill number 78 will be held. Resolutions.
We have 3 additional resolutions this evening, Mr. Chair. Resolution number 2, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Move to adopt resolution number 2, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby? Aye. Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Fitch?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Clancy?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on resolution number 2, there are 7 ayes.
Resolution number 2 is adopted.
Resolution number 3, introduced by Councilmember Walton Gray.
please add Hazel Irby as a co-sponsor? And I move for the adoption of resolution number 3.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Fitch?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Clancy?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on resolution number 3, there are 7 ayes.
Resolution number 3 is adopted. Unfinished business?
Item number 1,
This is to adopt the proposed changes for the Human Services budget to comply with the County Council adopted budget for 2019. Receive, file, and the appropriation transfer be approved as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
item number 2,
This item is to comply with some of the transfers that will be required to balance the Parks budget for fiscal year 19. Receive, file, and the appropriation transfer be approved as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
item number 3, 3rd District,
Please hold on the order of business.
So ordered.
item number 4, 6th District,
Receive, file, and the change of owner be approved as requested, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
item number 5,
Receive, file, and the appointment be approved as recommended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business?
under new business this evening, Mr. Chair, we have 1 prepared order.
I move for adoption of order number 1.
Second. All in favor of adoption order number 1?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Order number 1 is adopted. Comments by council members?
Yes, I'd like to mention that we will have a hearing, moms, on Tuesday regarding the deaths in the Justice Center. And hopefully we'll get some testimony, but we may have to go into closed session to get answers. But, we're going to see what we can do. Meanwhile, please keep in touch, as you know. And it's my first time meeting you, but make sure you give me your information.
Okay. Councilman Horton.
I'd just like to mention, and you mentioned at the top of the meeting, Officer Ratliff has been here for a number of years, taking care of us. As far as I remember, he never had to use his taser on any of us, which I guess is a good day. So I want to mention him and congratulate him on his retirement and thank him for keeping us safe.
Councilwoman Clancy.
I announced earlier, or late this afternoon, that I will be having a second town hall to discuss proposed development or the potential of proposed development at the old Tower T site in Afton, and that will be, we will continue the conversation with the community. That will be Wednesday evening, April 17th at 6:30 at the Afton Community Center. So I see at least 2 folks from the Afton community. Hope to see you next week.
Okay. Any other comments? Oh.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We adjourn.